it's enough of that. Let's go ahead and get into what we got going on here. So this is something that we've been following for a while, past couple years. Here on this channel, we've been following this for a couple years now. We know anything digital is not private. We know that. If you don't, you should. Everything that you do, the moment you turn on a connected device in any type of way, it's automatically grabbing your data. We understand that. But what we have going on is they're trying their best in every aspect possible to make it that, again, we're talking about centralized. I think that's the key that we're trying to understand. We've been seeing many actions taken recently, just in the past couple months, of trying to centralize everything, bring everything together. We've seen policies and executive orders start doing that. We've seen the increased development of Palantir services, of what's happening, and they're trying to centralize everybody's data in the one central thing. And so when it comes to private messaging, specifically encrypted messaging, it makes it difficult for them to centralize all those conversations. They have to go in and individually grab each one, or pay the service that provides the encryption, pay them in order to get the data from them. So we've seen attempts for them to try and backdoor and make everything so they can just gather the data in one central collection. And so we have here, the Senate pushes bill that could end private messaging. Encrypted platforms could become collateral damage in a legislative push that treats privacy itself as a liability. Under the pretext of strengthening measures against child exploitation online. So again, here we go again with the push for protecting the kids. We've talked about this again for years now, how they pull on the heartstrings of people to go, well, we have to protect our kids from this. So in order to protect the kids, in order to provide security, we have to take away your freedom. We have to take away your privacy. We have to take away all these things in order to make sure that we protect your kids. And they've used that countless times. Under the pretext of strengthening measures against child exploitation online, a controversial Senate bill is resurfacing with provisions that privacy advocates say would gut critical internet protections and compromise the security and privacy of all citizens. Known as the Stop CSAM Act of 2025. They tried to pull this last year. We talked about that as well. Didn't go through. The legislation is being criticized for using broad language and vague legal standards that could severely weaken encryption and open the floodgates for content takedowns, including legal content across a wide range of online services. The bill's stated aim is to curb the spread of child sex abuse material, a crime already strictly prohibited under federal law. Current regulations already compel online platforms to report known instances of such material to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which coordinates with law enforcement. Worth noting that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children got a massive wave of defunding from the Trump administration during all the Doge stuff. So keep that in mind. They took a bunch of funding away from that department, fired people from that department, so it's very lackluster now. So that's interesting how that's working there. However, S1829 goes beyond the existing mandate, targeting a wide spectrum of internet platforms with new forms of criminal and civil liability that could penalize even the most privacy-conscious and complaint services. The scope of the legislation is sweeping. Its provisions apply not only to large social media platforms, but also to private messaging apps, cloud storage services, and email providers. Basically, what they're saying, what they want to do is they want to put it on the service itself. This isn't going against individuals. This is being put on the services of those who do encryption, cloud service, file sharing, anything like that. They want to make it so every single word, every single image, every single video, every single thing that hits their platform gets scanned and or sent to the database for scanning, making it so there is no longer any semi-private conversations happening online. They want every single piece of data, even in the encryption stuff, to be scanned, which means there's no longer going to be encryption services, pretty much. There's going to be no more encryption services. And so this is going to be interesting to see what happens. Any company that does not abide by this can then get sued, shut down, or imprisoned. By introducing new crimes related to the hosting or facilitating of exploitative content, using legal terms with unclear boundaries, the bill places encrypted platforms at significant risk. Under the bill's loose definition, again, broad, general wording, which allows them to just go off of whatever they're feeling at the moment. That's usually how they do these. Simply providing a secure, privacy-focused service could be interpreted as facilitating illegal activity. So if you have an encrypted service, under the language of this bill, you would, even if nobody is using it, if you just built an encryption service, you would now fall under the illegal activity thing of this bill, which means you can't do it. You can't have encryption anymore, regardless of whether the provider can access or verify the content being transmitted. This is especially dangerous for services that implement end-to-end encryption, a core feature designed to keep user communication secure from both hackers and unauthorized surveillance. Because such platforms cannot access user content, they could face liability for material they neither see nor control. So again, they realize that the best way of getting your data is to not threaten you, but it's to threaten the platforms that you use, because they're much more inclined to protect themselves as opposed to you. That's how it goes. Even a notice alleging that presence of CSAM could be enough to meet the bill's threshold for knowledge, exposing providers to prosecution or lawsuits without concrete evidence. So if somebody just says, I've got a hunch that there's something bad on that platform, they got them. Simple as that. This is the slippery slope, the dangers of trying to, well, I don't want to say trying to, because they don't really give a rip about the kids or protecting them in any type of way. Most of the people that write these laws are actually people that participate in the very same thing that we're talking about now. So keep that in mind. What this is about is it's about putting down the hammer, putting down the thumb, putting down the boot, whatever illustration you want to use there, on the digital end of things in order to get as much data, to eliminate privacy, and to make sure that your identity is attached to everything. And so they're continuing to do just that, which leads us to this, because this is exactly what I was warning about before with all the bills that they're trying to put forth in the United States. So if you go back about a month or two ago, I don't remember exactly when, but if you go back about a month or two ago, we were talking about a whole bunch of different bills. I think it was the Digital Dungeon episode. Talking about a whole bunch of different bills, state and legislative, plus other country as well. We were talking about the United Kingdom and everything, where they're trying to make it so you have to give an ID in order to even get online. They're trying to put a gatekeep to remove all ability to be anonymous online. And a lot of it is coming through adult content online. And France is finally making that move exactly as I thought they were going to do. And exactly how I think it's going to happen in the United States as well. France moves to classify X, or Twitter, as an adult site amid digital ID crackdowns. France wants users to show ID at the door. France is moving to classify X as a pornographic website, a designation that would place it under the country's mandatory age verification and digital ID laws. This step, if finalized, would force the company to implement robust age gating mechanisms or restrict access to adult content altogether to avoid being cut off from younger users. It would also mean that users have to show ID to access the platform, introducing major implications for privacy and free speech. So basically, under the guise of protecting the kids, again, they want to make it so anybody who uses Twitter would have to verify their ID through digital ID or through a picture of their government ID to even access the website. Again, to protect the kids, quote unquote, everybody loses all privacy. Everybody loses all the ability to be anonymous, and all of it goes out the window in the name of security. And so what we see going on here is very similar to a lot of the bills that's going on in the United States when it comes to protecting kids from adult content. They always put stipulations. Well, if a third of the content is considered adult, but they don't define what that is. Is that pornographic images, or is that bad language in a chat, in a comment section? They don't specify it. Both could be considered adults. You go onto, I don't know, Fox News, Yahoo News, and you go to the comment section. Is that enough to even block something like that, and where you have to give your ID in order to get online? We even talked about one of the possibilities of them from the device standpoint. They're even bringing forth the idea of, if you even want to log on to a device that's connected, you would have to scan your ID. That means everything that you do to even access it would be required, not just websites here and there. And so this is what I was talking about, is they like to pull on the heartstrings. They like to play games like this to get people on board. This is that deceptive thing, because a lot of people on the right, a lot of Christians, a lot of whoever that puts themselves in the quote unquote conservative camp, when they see, oh yeah, we got to protect the kids. We got to protect the kids. That's right. They don't pay attention to truly what's behind it. This is what's behind it. It's always been there. This was the goal. The goal isn't to protect the kids. Again, the same people writing these things are the ones participating in that stuff. No, this is the Trojan horse to make it so they can block people from getting the websites unless they give up their identity and their privacy. The push comes amid broader efforts by the French government to strengthen protections for minors online. Digital Minister Clara Chapez's office told Politico that Twitter has indicated since 2024 that it accepts the distribution of adult content. It must therefore be treated as such. So they're not even playing games with the percentage. They're just saying, well, because it's on there, it's going to be classified as such. Is there anything else on here worth really going over? France's approach, introduced in stages over the past year, mandates that adult sites employ HX handles by a third party. The setup is intended to shield the platforms from accessing any personal information about their users, but digital ID data is still seen by the third party. Many of such companies have lobbied governments to introduce digital ID laws. Exactly. So the companies that scan digital ID, the companies that verify identification and ages and everything like that, are either companies that have direct ties to big tech and big government, or are lobbyists for big tech and big government. And so all the data that they collect will be able to get shifted and transferred over to exactly where they want it to go. So that's where that goes on these things. It's, again, there's really not much way around this. It's going to happen eventually. We've already seen that they're testing, I believe it was the Digital Dungeon episode. We've already seen that they're testing the ability to make it so you have credits. You have so many credits to access certain websites and stuff like that. And once you run out of credits for the month, you're out. And then you have to wait until you get a refill of credits. They're digital credits. It's not social credit. It's digital credits. Like they're testing carbon credits. It's like once you run out of your carbon usage for the month, then you got to wait until the next month to get it. It's, I mean, we're entering an era now where they're going to have full ability to not only view what you're doing and make sure that they have all access to every aspect of whatever you're doing, whether you're talking to somebody, or searching for something or in a comment section or a chat room, whatever it is, that's all going to be centralized. There's going to be age gates to that now, so there's no being anonymous. VPNs would be a thing of the past. And then they're trying to implement carbon credits, so if you can only eat certain amounts of some type of food, and you can only purchase so many amounts of some type of clothing or this much gas or whatever it is. They've been working on that. And then we understand that now they're trying to do it when it comes to online stuff. If you want to access certain online things, you have a certain amount of credits that you receive every month. And after that, you got to wait for your refill. Everything is about dependency. Just wait until the UBI comes out.